The next two speakers that we have, Mr. Luke Day, Mr. Chip Morton. Now, Chip has been a legendary coach for years and years, and I've worked with him before, but I've heard that name forever, and garners a ton of respect. The cool part is Chip is a mentor, was a mentor, and is a mentor for Mr. Luke Day. A few years ago, Alex Williams, who works for us, he's like, man, you gotta really hang out with Luke. I was like, yeah, I know who he is. He's like, no. Luke is, seriously, he's your kind of dude. And we went out to lunch last year, and we had a great conversation. I was like, man, I'd love to have you talk at SummerStrong. Just we were hitting on their same frequency. And if you were here last year, you know what I'm talking about. He's a special individual. Now he has his mentor with him for this presentation. And I can say that in the last year, Luke and I have developed quite the friendship. And it's awesome to see what he's doing. It's awesome to see what Chip is doing. And so it is my distinct pleasure of welcoming Chip and Luke.
Hey, I get that one. Let's go. I know.
How we doing? Good. Welcome back. Congrats again on the fantastic bowl win and what we accomplished in 2021. But like that last team meeting that we had during bowl practices, we talked about that was the last time that group would be in this room and it all together. And there's people in new chairs and new places. So it's a whole new year. So no matter what happened in 2021, that's behind us.
Right, I think it's all about culture. It's all about fit. The culture that he is building in South Carolina, I think Shane Beamer has to continue to get high praise.
This game is about relationships. He's got great relationships with players.
You know, Coach Beamer was a big indicator that South Carolina is doing something right.
Wow, they're way ahead of the schedule I had in mind, at least. And the mood around South Carolina football right now is strapped in. It's a good time to be a South Carolina Gamecock fan, is what I'm saying.
And Shane Beamer is winning day after day. Everything's going well for South Carolina. They just got to keep it going.
Because we made a lot of progress last year. Went from 2 wins to 7 wins, won a bowl game, could have won a couple more. There was a lot of work that went into that. And it's going to take even more work to go from 7 to the next level.
Above all else, love your brother. That's the maxim we decided to live in this program. It's the very best of me, serving the very best in you. 1, 2, 3. We will train you in ways you have never trained. Expose you to challenges that will harden your bodies and sharpen your mind. Because we're connected through this shared struggle. And we're talking about competitive capacity. How much energy can you have when you feel like you do right now? What is your capacity to keep competing?
Hey, listen. First quarter, you got to start fast. Second quarter, it gets physical. Third quarter, you got to come out strong. Fourth quarter, you got to go long. And you are trained for all of it.
This is your new reference point of hard. You are familiar with the difficult in an unfamiliar place. Nothing that gets thrown your way in the year 2022 will compare. Are you ready? Ready? Right on. Thank you.
I guess I'll
go ahead, man. What's that?
First of all, good afternoon. Thank you to Mr. Richard Soren. Where's Pops? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you to Bert and the Sorenex family. Thank you to Prescott. That strip of dirt that we had grit night, he cleared that himself in probably 20.
1,000 yards long.
Yeah, in about 48 hours.
Should have told you earlier.
Yeah. Thank you. Prescott, right there. We got and thank you for coming. Luke's gonna open, but I want to say those thank you. And thank you to our staff, Coach Beamer, Nate Settergren, Mitch Oakey, Gavin Hopkins, Byron Jerry was not here, and Dustin Curran. Bert asked yesterday, who's hiring? Is anybody hiring? Not that they want to leave, but these are great young strength coaches. And the stuff that Luke's doing and that they are doing, I've been doing it a long time. So I'm not just blowing smoke. This is not what we're about. But those guys don't get near enough. They do all the freaking hard work. Because I'm not moving sleds around and 1,000 pounds of plate. Those guys do it. And the ideas that they generate, and they're learning and coming alongside us. Yeah, thank you I'm mentoring Luke, but we're all mentoring each other. So I want to make sure to give our staff, because they all make it work from Coach Beamer on down. That said, one more thing. You'll see a slide later. I don't want to say it now. This is my brother. That's all been written about, our years and him working for me, and now I'm working for him, and we work together. But there was a lot of ground covered over these years since 2015 on. And he'll tell you I've changed his view and maybe restored his love for coaching. And I'll tell you he restored me. Okay? I might cry a lot. It's stupid stuff. But I was crying when the video got me. But that said, I don't want it to be a love fest, but today, Luke is a phenomenal, if you were here last year, and we see it every day, he's a phenomenal speaker. He's a great orator. He is a broadcast. He will steal the show. I'm a conversation. Okay? He will minister to you. Maybe I'll minister to one of you. But that's what makes it work together. And today's talk, it's more than a conversation. We want you to come away with good insight. I just say it's a conversation because I want to take the stress levels down, but it's more than that. So we're not sure what's going to come out, but
yeah, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. All right, so thank you very, very much for this opportunity. This is the one of the coolest things that I think take place, and it's really awesome that people still get excited about doing a thing. Because you could just stay at home and you can just say nasty things to people on your phone in a comment under stuff and be like, SummerStrong stuff. But you're coming and you're spending money and you're showing up. And so I don't want to just tell a bunch of stories and then you watch us hug and be weird and then you have to be fake authentic, which is the newest thing to do, is to be pseudo-authentic, is to show up and be like, I really felt that, and you didn't feel nothing. You just said that because maybe we'll hire soon, you know? I know, I have done that, okay? I have done that. So this conversation has been taking place since 2015, okay? We've assembled the largest group of people on the East Coast that are obsessed with performance. You guys are obsessed. You kind of wear me out a little bit. You're so obsessed with doing stuff, all right? You know, like Brandon Lilly is incredible, all right? Somebody talks about bow hunting. Brandon Lilly shoots a bow 600 times. Brandon wins, okay? Somebody says, hey, let's see how hard we can lift. Brandon Lilly lifts all the weights, right? You guys are, and every single person in here has a little bit that going on. But is there not anything more important to human performance than what's in there, people, and who we are? And then try to apply what's in there, who we are, to what we want, which we don't even know. We have no idea what we actually want, all right? Which is why I'm nauseated with this what's your why nonsense. That's everybody says, oh, well, you gotta know your why. I don't know my why yet, okay? When I go to interviews, I say to impact kids, I'm not so sure that's the truth, okay? I'm just being honest. Because sometimes I don't want to impact kids. I don't even want to talk to that kid. I hate that kid, okay? So here's the deal. What's in my head, what's in my heart, what's in his head, what's in his heart is pick and shovel work to draw out. And we're going to talk about what that means, okay? I mean, literally, this conversation never ends. This guy, he is my mentor. I love him dearly. He wears my ass out, because he questions everything. Everything that we're doing. Are you sure this is the right? I'm like, just go with it. Will you just be okay? Can you just be laid back? And he won't, right? And then he goes, hey man, that's arrogance. That's this. There's stuff in your. And he calls it, and he calls my heart out. And I go, ah. And then we get in a fight. It's all in his office. That's why the door's shut all the time. We're not avoiding you guys, all right? And then I go, well, you got a problem with everybody and all that kind of stuff. And he goes, yeah, you're right. And then we go walking with our shirts off. And everybody thinks we're weirdos. He probably just saw us go down the street. We did the same thing right before we did this. So what we're going to talk about today is what's in your head goes down in your heart. What's in your heart is everything that you do. What's in your head goes down in your heart. And what's in your heart is who you are and what you do. And who you are and what you do is what people think of you. And sometimes what's way down in there, this is what he taught me, this is what he's going to take off from here to get out the good stuff, because there's bad stuff in there, there's good stuff. Both are true. Both are true. I am evil and I am wonderful. All right? I will backstab you. And I will get jealous of you. And I will say terrible things to you. Some of the people that watched that video are probably rolling their eyes because they kicked our ass last year. That are in this room, played against us. Right? So I'm capable of horrible things. Why? Where'd that come from? What's going on there? Let's talk about that. And I'm capable of wonderful things, and I'll own that. Right? The guys, we were talking about the other night, he's like, I haven't shot bows, and I don't know how to spear fish, and I didn't do all this kind of stuff and do all this wild stuff. And then he finally owned it. Well, maybe my adventure was coaching in the NFL for 27 years, winning Super Bowls and coaching Hall of Famers. I said, yeah, it was. It was. We didn't do that. We didn't get to do that. So you get to give out of that to us. So he's going to, these next couple slides are going to be what hit me right between the eyes when I wandered in, all right, to the Cincinnati Bengals weight room, and I was never the same after the first 48 hours I was there. So the next slide, please.
Here's where I always, and you notice, what if I told you a statement from a great military leader, geopolitical leader, you'd move forward in your seat. Wisdom from a great military leader, ruled a great part of the world in ancient times. But if I said it was David from the Old Testament, So we get snappy sometimes. Anointed military leader, the psalmist David. I'm not trying to proselytize. I'm not trying to sell you anything or influence you. We are trying to influence you, but some of these statements are our foundation, what's in our heart and mind, and really our program grows out of it. So I can't apologize for that, but I'll deliver it graciously. But the point is that we all can agree, what's in you? What's in you? Uniquely and wonderfully made. Bert said yesterday, here at SummerStrong, you guys, it's a lot of interesting people. So I am interesting and wonderfully made. You are all interesting and wonderfully made. That's where we're going to start. And in the era I've heard of Dr. Mann talked about mental health. That's real stuff. And we're talking about it. But how about let me get a hold of what's in here in all of us? What is the truth? Now, as Luke just said, and we're going to get into that, there's lots of other muck and mire in there as well. But how we were formed, how we were intended was unique and wonderful, remarkable even, a masterpiece. So start with that. And I would show this slide with the Bengals when the rookie class would come in each year. This was the very first, programming meeting. Here's we're going to talk about mini camp and what you're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And this was the very first slide I would show. And you'd see young men that never, besides their football ability, had never been told that. Certainly by an older white guy, and I'm just facts are facts. Okay? They had never, and that changed things. That changed. My players seeing that changed it. Part of this connection, where are we starting with you? Next slide. Once again, the wisest man who ever lived. Anybody know who the wisest man who ever lived? Solomon. We use these slides for recruits, and recruits will say, Jeff Bezos or whatever, something current. Well, go back. But once again, and this has been, I didn't write it, Solomon did, but it's good wisdom for coaching. It's kind of been my charge, and it has become our charge for our staff. The purposes of a man's heart are deep waters, Bert. But one who has insight draws them out. Purposes meaning goals, what I want in this case. Mike, what are my goals? But here's the heavier part, the deep waters. And Luke's going to touch on that eloquently. What's down deep in there? What are my desires? Goals I can control. I'm not going to eat chocolate during Lent. No one's going to force chocolate into my mouth during Lent. I'm going to run 3 miles a day for the next month. I can do that. I control that completely. But desires are different. Desires, I will be dependent on someone else or something else to help me accomplish that. That's deeper down. It's a little scarier. So the goals and desires, and also, actually, in this case, I hope none of you speak Hebrew, but purposes has been also defined in Hebrew as etzah. The word etzah. And it means plans, aims, but also counsel. So this really is two people. There's plans and there's counsel to get there. Does that make sense? Shaking heads? But the person who has insight draws all that out. So our talk's going to be about how we draw that out. The person of insight being, gaze upon me. Gaze upon me. Fix your eyes. We talk about relationships and strength coaching, but it's different when you say, man, what's in there? Let me get really close. Not just, oh, let that guy do that, but see people. Fix your eyes on them. That's insight and wisdom. Drawing it out means I got to come alongside. In all the nastiness, all the shittiness, when I don't feel it, when they don't feel it. I've never gotten in a fight in the weight room, but I've had to have guys come in my office and, hey, man, this is not going, let's talk, let's do this man to man, and you can whip my ass if you want, but that's not going to get you very far. So it's two people there, and we'll get more into that later. Next slide. One of Luke's biggest things, and I wrote on my grease board at the Bengals, and define your terms. No buzzwords. No, the thing with the circle with the red line through it. Define your terms. Buzzwords, coach speak, overused terms. Red circle with a red line. Do not use those. But our Coach Beamer, all coaches, they love motivation. They're looking for motivation, looking for words with motivation. And we get sideways to him, and he's great. It's on camera. He is great because he invites us into these discussions where sometimes he'll say, he has said to us, what do you think about this phrase? Because when we're redoing the facility, putting up things, what do you think about this? You're probably not going to like it. And we'd be like, no. Let's be real. But these are the things, we do have things on the wall, like every facility does. This is what our head coach wants us to be. And we've gone through, we're not going to spend the time, but we've gone through every one of these things, and we've defined what those mean to our players. Do we agree that mental toughness for us means what I want is more important than how I feel? Do we agree on that? That's what we get our players to the point. What you want is more important than how you feel. That's how we define mental toughness. Positive energy, juice. That's a few years ago. Juice was the big term. Juice. Luke's got juice. My juice is different. My juice is, hey man, juice comes in all kinds of flavors. So our definition of positive energy, we want positive energy. It is better because you are here. This place, you're bringing positive energy. It is better because you are here. And bringing you and your unique and wonderful gifts through the bent you have that was knit in you, that's wonderful and interesting and remarkable. So these are all the defining all our terms. Next slide.
So can you go back one slide to that thing?
the audacity of us to put that up there and claim that. That's ridiculous, because here's the deal. We have college strength coaches in the weight room, or in this room. You probably have the same thing on your wall, right? Toughness, accountability, effort. It's all the stuff. We got to fill blank spaces, okay?
And we have a budget.
And we got the money. So, I mean, we're going to be the toughest in the nation. That's it. You come to South Carolina, we're going to kill you. We're the toughest. All right? The hardest working, let's quantify that. All right? Brian Mann is somewhere rolling his eyes right now. All right? Most competitive. Oh, who do we think we are? And closest team in the nation. Well, here's why I'm bringing that up, all right? Because the next slide, all right? Come on, Ricky, you're supposed to go right to the, okay. We don't do that every day. We don't. We were 6-6. And everybody, wasn't that funny? All right? Hang on, man. We also have a lot of things we had to go through to get 6-6. All right, jeez, well, Pete, bro. That wasn't the punchline. But seriously, we don't live this out every single day. We're not closely connected. Sometimes you come down to the weight room, all right? The thing that makes Nate Sedegren the most nervous is when me and Mitch Oakey get in a knockdown drag out. And that's my dude, man. I love Mitch Oakey, all right? And he has been the most oftentimes threatened to be fired in the weight room than anybody else. And you know why? Because he's not a yes man, all right? He just goes, this is stupid as fuck. And I'll kill you and everybody. And then he's like, and then I'm like, oh, he's right. What? Anybody here checked off every goal, every desire they've ever had? Anybody here? We don't even start some of them. Like, I'm sure everybody on your football team or everybody on your basketball team wants to go play professionally, right? We sit down with the recruit, hey, man, what do you want the most? I want to go to the league. I want to feed my family. I want to buy my mama a house. Well, yeah, man, yeah. And then, well, why aren't you just like tearing yourself apart every single day to get that? But instead you hide, and this is not a shot at performance, guys. You guys are wonderful. But instead you waited till the last 4 weeks before pro day, all right, with 4 years of turd film, and then you're going to just get all ready and all right, 5-1. I'm not going to call you. All right? I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, man. Why can't we start doing what we want to be and say what we want to do? Why can't we stop doing it? Why can't you stop? Why can't I stop eating that? Why can't I stop looking at that? Why can't I stop calling her? Why can't I start calling her? Why won't he call me back? Right? A guy came up to me the other day, I don't want to mention his name, but he said, I really stopped feeling sorry for myself when you didn't call me back. How are you supposed to respond to that? You're welcome that I was such a dick. Right? Why didn't I call him back? Why? I said, I want to be relational. I want to, you know what I'm saying? So with this whole connection thing and relation thing and all, don't be a weirdo, okay? Don't walk up to me right after this and be like, Coach, I'd love to connect. I'm not going to talk to you, okay? Because you're a weird guy, all right? You don't say that the first time you talk to somebody. That's not how you connect. All right? So let's not skip all that kind of stuff, okay? Proverbially, buy me dinner first, okay?
Let me add one thing. Let me add one thing. Our if you come into our indoor, it'll say above all else, and Luke spoke about it last year. Above all else, love your brother, love one another, and the rest of it is because love covers a multitude of sins. So there are days we get shitty, we fight. I get really shitty sometimes, and when I do, it's scary. When he does it, guys are like, oh, Coach. When I do it, they're like, oh, you're serious.
It's like when my mom gets mad.
But Luke made a point, and the origin of the word sin in this case, not, oh, I'm a debased person. It can mean that, but it's hamartia. Which would an archery term, to miss the mark. We miss the mark every day. But love covers all that because we agree. We have defined our terms. We have agreed here how we're going to operate. We have agreed we're going to miss the mark. Do we agree? Yeah. And we will reconnect. We will disconnect, or never disconnect, but we will have friction, and then we will come back together. And now we're at a point where we can say in our bad days amazing things to our players that normally would mean fighting, the term fighting words. When I was a kid, those were fighting words. And our guys are like, Coach, you're right. He's angry because of something I did. And he'll go back, I got over the top angry. But so all these layers upon love, and above all else, when we define them, I keep coming back to that, we're living it out daily. Not always great, not perfect, but we're working on that being closely connected.
So this is kind of the greatest question ever. Like, why don't we do what we say we want to do? Today, you're not going to do everything you said you want to do. Tomorrow, you do the same exact thing, okay? So maybe it's not just you or me, or because we look at our phones too much, all right? We got to stop at that, all right? We've been burning cities down and cutting everybody's heads off for way longer than the iPhone, okay? We got way bigger problems than that. The next slide, please. So this guy was a former terrorist, okay? I decide to do good, but I really don't do it. This is the Message version, which is like, it's if you ever look up that version of the Bible, it's like the street version, kind of, okay? I decide to do good, but I don't really do it. I decide not to do bad, but then I do it anyway. My decisions, such as they are, they don't result in actions. Something has gone wrong deep within me, and it gets the better of me every single time. Listen, if you don't think Christ is the Son of God, then Freud called it the ego. Whatever you want to call it, everybody's agreeing there's this common thread, of course. All right? There's this common thread that we are a walking contradiction. We are in conflict with ourselves. We say this, we do that. We meant this, we said the wrong thing. What is the problem with us? The next one, by the way, former terrorist. Here's why we didn't say Paul the Apostle, is because he is a contradiction. The guy that wrote a lot of the New Testament, all right, used to stone Christians. That doesn't make any sense that he got to be the guy to tell us all of that. So whatever you done, it's not fair that he can be forgiven. It's not fair. It's not fair to one of the disciples' families that he helped murder. But we ain't playing fair. Love is not fair. Stop trying to keep track. Stop trying to keep a score. Stop trying to say, well, he did this 4 years ago. Nobody is saltier for a longer period of time about somebody doing them wrong than strength coaches. It's unbelievable. We're the toughest, most rugged, most fragile people ever. So I wanted you to remember, the guy that said this stuff, not a great guy, okay? Here's the deal. They called it the flesh and the spirit back then. What you want from the flesh is against the spirit. The desires of the spirit are against the flesh. For these are opposed to each other to keep you from doing what you want to do. All right? Between me and Leslie, we're going to trap you. You can't run from this. All right? You cannot try to live in this deep water, thin air. I want to connect and deny the spiritual part of your life. You can't do it. It's unavoidable. I'm not trying. We're not going to have an altar call up here. I'm going to lay hands, hope you fall down. He's healed. His ankle doesn't hurt anymore. All right? That's not what we're trying to do. Okay? But what I'm saying is, this is real, man, and it's not to be debated. Unless you want to be miserable for the rest of your life, then continue to deny that you have a right hand and a left hand and a head and a heart, and it is in contradiction with itself. Now, what do we do about that? Because we have to go win football games. This is something that actually takes place with every single player on our roster. Chip's going to talk to you about this.
And this all comes out of those conversations. We'll sit in the office, we'll walk on the field with tarps off, with our staff. What is the evidence? What evidence What evidence are our players providing? What is the truth about them? What do we see? Fix your eyes. What do we see? When we do that, there's good, there's unique and wonderful and interesting and remarkable, and there's stuff that they can't get past. And these are the evaluations we give to our coach, and Luke will read these to our staff members. And it's just the evidence, and we just put it on paper, and we write it in a way that we can tell the player himself. Here's what we see. There's beauty, there's goodness, and there's struggles deep down inside. That's just part of our evaluation. Next slide.
So here's why we're very, 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 very interested in the head and the heart. Because we're told, same guy, wisest, former world's richest, also a contradiction because he had 1,000 girlfriends. Literally, that was his foreign policy, is to marry the other country's wife. And then they were good, and you wouldn't have to go to war. All right, so I guess there's worse ways. Above all else, guard your heart. Another above all else. For everything you do flows from it. So what's in the heart is what you're going to do. So now, oh my goodness, that's the most important thing. What's in there? What's in there? The next slide, please. All right, because now, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. What we think is what goes in there. What goes in there is who we are. So how's this? For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Same guy, famous womanizer. We got him classified this time. Every single thing. Now here's where relationship comes into playing, because every single thing that you say to someone is eliciting a thought. Okay? It's the reason why when Leslie has her clients come to talk to her, there's stuff that people were, where is Leslie? Is she in here? Yeah, things were said to them as children that stabbed them right in the heart. And they don't operate out of what's the heart is full of. They operate out of a wounded heart. And you know, when something gets wounded, you protect it and you calcify it and you put stone over it and then you harden it and then and then nasty stuff builds over top of that and pus seeps out, and there's the type of person you go be. So your words, you are charged. This coaching stuff is not light business. You have to know the information. You have to know what they're talking about with velocity-based training. You have to know the conditioning systems and the energy systems, and you have to know that your words are the most impactful things to these young people's lives, and you could destroy them. We say this to recruits all the time. I can make your life a nightmare. You're with me more than anybody else. If I'm terrible at what I do, your dream of college football will be a nightmare. And you'll transfer, and then you'll be sad a little bit, and it wasn't what you should have done, and then I just set off the first young adult shoulda, coulda, woulda in your life. My fault. So this is where we come into, this is how we interact with each other about this whole thought thing. Chip talks about it all the time. If you want to weigh in right now about inputs and outputs.
Yeah, Cal Dietz get into some sensory motor stuff. What brings good output? What brings good output? Good input. That's from a sensory motor standpoint. It's from an emotional standpoint. It's what's down in those deep waters. So Luke said, what you read, what you don't read, what's said to you, what you say. Our interactions with our athletes, the interactions of our athletes with each other. All that input coming in, guarding your heart, because it's valuable, and we're bombarded. Instagram for me is like, dang, I'm not as strong as that guy. I'm not as good looking as that guy. Look at me, little old, whatever. Yeah, that's what am I putting in my mind? Which is, what am I putting in my heart? That's why we always go back to, no. You're unique and wonderful. Filter that stuff. Let's start with that. And then to do that, we'll talk.
Yeah.
You have to have digging rights. You have to move close. So we're not trained psychologists. We are just relational coaches with time on task and a heart for our players, for the people around us. We're not there are professionals in our building that do that, but we're doing it daily. And we're trying to we are putting good stuff in their hearts, and we are trying to draw out the best of them. That's what it comes down to. So, and certainly putting good in them is programming. That's certainly, you're giving good information. You're providing direction. But there's also the interaction, the moving close, and the words, and the insight. I keep coming back to you, sir.
Hey, it's all right.
Getting really close to earn digging rights. Next slide. Oh, you want to go back to digging rights? You want to a little more?
Well,
that's big. You had to build that.
Yeah.
Go back one.
You can be, I know coaches that are very insightful and very ineffective because they don't have a right to go there with kids, right? They'll call it like they see it. Hey, this guy, he's a me guy. That's so easy. Thank you. We're all here. We're all in the room. We see him doing that. Yes, he yelled and he took his shirt off and he flipped us all off and ran inside. We agree he's a me guy. Right? Now you go out there and get him. Oh, you don't do that. You don't have digging rights, right? Let's put it like this, because we're getting ready to go into this. Just strap in for the world's deepest metaphor. Okay, is you go. Anybody ever seen There Will Be Blood? All right, I love that movie. My wife hates it. It's weird and it doesn't make a lot of sense and all that. But you buy all this equipment and you get a geology degree and you understand how the Earth's crest works and where you have to dig and all of these kinds of things, and then you don't get to do any of it because you couldn't obtain the right to dig. You have to get authorization to begin the work. And so it's not enough to know your student athlete or your staff member or you yourself need mental health assistance. It's not enough to know that they had a traumatized upbringing, right? And sometimes like, well, he lost his dad. And I'm like, so he gets to just be a turd to everybody? That because a sad thing happened? That's it. End the book. Close the book. All right? His dad died. Because we do that a lot with kids, which is the meanest thing you could ever do with a student, athlete, or another person, another human being, is to allow them to roll around in their filth because of their trauma. And going back to this flesh and spirit thing, all right? You got the things that affect your flesh, things that offend you, that spike you up, that hurt you, is because somebody hurt you, right? And the reason somebody's hurting you is because they got traumatized about something else. And now welcome to earth. This is what we do all day. But you can't begin this work. And to me, if there is a valuable thing at all, it's that you have an opportunity to do this work with somebody. And you can't do it if you don't have digging rights, which is a fancy, which is a SummerStrong way to say, can you go there with this guy? Can you have that conversation? That's out of bounds, right? If I just I've been fanboying Danny Bolton all weekend. He's weirded out by me, okay? But if I just all of a sudden challenge him to a fight or something, that's going to sound really weird, okay? What happened? We just met. Why are you being like this, right? We do that with coaches. They arrive, right? And I did it because I thought that was being a tough guy, and that's how I'm gonna get these kids in line, I just, get on, you didn't touch the line, and I freak out and I make a big deal because what I was really trying to do was impress the coach that was watching. And then, you know what the kid knew? He knew that that's what I was doing. And my right to dig just got revoked.
Yep.
And that happens a lot, and it still happens with me because I am a contradiction, because some days I wake up and I just operate out of the flesh, and we got to send in. Remember, does anybody remember? And there are actual people that actually killed and defended and defended our freedom, and I'm not making light of any of that. But remember the guys in Vietnam, you give them a flashlight and a gun, they dig those holes, right? Some of you may have served in Vietnam, all right? I'm not making light of any of that. That's Chip in our program, we send him spelunking down to people. Yeah, I'm the broadcast, and everybody thinks that that's cool, and Justin King loves to put our stuff on Instagram, and we fought all the way up to playing that video. I didn't want to play it because I'm embarrassed by it, right? And Chip's like, we should play it, but Chip is the effective conversation that we go have with the kid. That's that slide we showed you 3 slides ago about at his worst. At his worst, we send Chip with a flashlight and a gun because I don't have the rights with that kid. And you can gain them the first time. You can get your authorization to dig a lot faster the first time than trying to get it back. So just remember that. Remember that, okay? And if you are the wisest strength coach that has ever gifted planet Earth, and you cannot communicate to a human being that doesn't give a shit about this. Oh no, I wasn't supposed to say that. They don't care about strength and conditioning. Our best player is our worst lifter. Our second best player is our second worst lifter. And when I went and worked with him in the NFL, nobody wanted to lift. Because they're everybody's best player from college. So what do? We dig. Next slide, please.
And so, coming back to, yes, I'm uniquely and wonderfully made, but do I have a right view of myself? Do I also see the nasty stuff? I am this, you are this, but do I also see my limitations and where I'm shitty? What is my part in this relationship with the player? What is my role in that? Some of the reason why I'm sent out there, I'm the experienced hand, because that's what I've made my career. I've had an inordinate number of those hard to reach guys in the weight room. That's been one of my strengths and abilities. We had a player here in South Carolina, and one of our greatest joys is a player who, well, I'm going to give it away. In the beginning of the year, older player, deep thinker, starter. You know, he'd been through a few strength coaches and probably been betrayed and had trauma and had my hopes and desires were dashed, treated harshly, disrespected, whatever it might have been. There was hurt. But a solid, strong, adult, very mature player that in January, there was he's not quite on board, he's not vibing, he's not buying. Is he buying in? And Luke was one of the, hey, you need to go spend some time. Flash forward to the end of the year, and now he was elected. We elect our captains after the season, when the body of work has been done. So it's not a popularity, it's who's done the work. Who represents us? And now his name is on the wall at Williams-Brice Stadium. January, we're not sure, and I was new to college, and we're going to run, that college football thing about running guys off. Well, in the NFL, no, these are your guys. They will run themselves off, but these are the guys we have. So work with it. That was always our charge, especially in Cincinnati. Make it work. But in college, it's like the old model, run them off. I'm not saying we were doing that with this player, but just, new staff, we got to get our guys in there. But and I asked Luke, this is the truth, is he a player for us? Is he one of are we going to need him? Yes, he's a player. All right, then we're not going to run him off. We're not going to treat him shitty. We're not going to, all that stuff. Go get him. Yeah. End of the year, elected captain. And this player and I have talked about, Jabari Ellis. really mature man, and came a long way in giving us digging rights. So this is really a credit to Jabari Ellis. It's not, look at us. Jabari Ellis gave us the right to dig. And all the good stuff came out. And now he's at the next level, trying to make it there. Changed relationships. So have a right view of yourself. Next slide. Let's move it on.
Sorry,
I'm going to go back quickly, and I won't take a lot. We talked the purposes of a man's heart, deep waters, but a person of insight draws it out. And I like little Venn diagram. I like cool things. And we already went over purposes and goals and fix your eyes. It's that intersect, moving closer. And here's what we want to know at our from a nervous system standpoint, and this is sensory motor stuff. Am I safe? The nervous system wants to know, am I safe? Before I jump off this box, will this be safe? I don't know if it's true, but I've always heard, maybe it's just urban legend, that you can only jump as high as you can land from. Something like your vertical jump's impacted by what your body perceives as I can land safely. I'm not sure if that's true or urban legend, but am I safe? And it's the same in our relationships. Is it safe for me to share these deep desires? It's ugly, and I want this, and I'm telling lies to myself, and a coach comes along, and let's get the truth out. Is it safe for me to admit, I'm not what I portray that I am? Is it safe to do that? Digging rights. And do you care? Which is where we move close. I used to say, make me better. Now it's, do you care? That's what we all want to know. We all want to feel valued. We all want to know that do you care about me? Then I'll give you more. And that's going to come from every interaction. This is not like, oh, those guys. It's just interactive stuff with your unique gifts done with your individual bent in your individual relationships. But Dr. Mann said every athlete's an N of one. I'm stealing that. Every athlete's an N of one. Unique and wonderful. Science bears it out. Science has found that we are all unique and wonderful. I love that. Moving closer is how we're going to earn those digging rights. Next.
It's a simpler way to put it. And now, so we're going to show you. Go to the next slide, please. So there's these, we've tried to break it down to where you can come away with three things. This isn't some kind of algorithm, okay? So you walk back, and you're like, guys, we're in the struggle phase, first 2 weeks, and then we're in, what do you mean we're in strive? This is all happening at the exact same time, and you think sometimes I'm like, man, I'm in compete phase right now, dude. Look at this, all right? I got a tan, I didn't have carbs in like a week, and then I go right back to struggle. Okay, and sometimes it's all happening, multiple things. I'm in compete here, I'm struggle here, I'm strive there. Just wanted to give you a lens of maybe this could make sense to you, okay? So here's the deal. Next slide, all right? When we say, stuff has to be hard. It has to be, okay? And I need to talk, I'm gonna be very, I don't like velocity-based training, but that was incredible what I watched yesterday. Okay? And I thought I'd be it'd be the cool contrarian kid, all right? But then, is Greg in here? Might not be. He's exhausted, all right? But I don't want to be a countercultural casualty. I don't want to be the guy that's always, man, stuff should just still be hard, right? And then I watched that guy squat 9,000 pounds yesterday, and he's 96 pounds. So what's going on? Okay? Obviously, something is incredible going on there. But here's the deal. I also want to say this, and we don't have time for it, is did you see, I hope you watched.
Yeah.
As soon as they got done, and then my buddy also, a side note before I say this, if we were that close to a PR, why didn't somebody throw a 2.5 on right before he went? For God's sakes, guys, we could have witnessed a world record. Nobody thought to add that up? Okay. Anyway, as soon as they got that done, did you see the way they turned around and went right to Travis?
Yeah.
They lit up. He had to almost deflect, like, good job, you did it. Come on, it's okay. That dude's got digging rights.
Yes. Sarah, did you see the way Sarah, if she's still here, the way she hugged Travis? And I thought it, and he leans over, he goes, did you see that? I'm like, they're connected. They got digging rights. And I think I brought Sarah, I'm sorry, you might have gotten emotional. I told you that during lunch break. That's Travis that has earned digging rights with them, and they are closely connected.
So when guys arrive, and we're not picking on freshmen, that's easy, okay? Anybody can make a freshman throw up, that's great. You're not a good strength coach because you do that, but we do it anyway, okay? So here's the deal, all right? Because we need to find where to dig. Because during the recruiting process, the social contract was in effect. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything I say, yes, sir. Please stop saying yes, sir. Do you even know what I just said? Yes, sir. But when I do this, now you can't fake it anymore. That's why physical things make the truth come out. Let's make all the truth spill out. Oh, you didn't know that was in there. One time we had the good kids, right? And they freaked out on the bad kid. And the bad kid said, hey, get yourself straight, man. You got this. I'm like, wait a second, he's supposed to be that guy. What's going on? Right? And everybody found where to dig. But before we got to that point, I said, listen, when you get here, I'm going to ask you to do very, very difficult things. All right? And it's because what you want is going to be very, very difficult because there's only if you're a defensive back, there's 6 professional ones on every team times 32. That's how many there are on earth. So if you want to buy mama a house, this is going to be really hard. So we do that to make what's true spill out. And why? Because if it's not what we want coming out, it's blocking what's down deep. It's blocking the desires. It's blocking the good stuff. It's blocking the uniquely, hey man, this guy's unique and wonderfully made is blocked. All right? One time, did you bring that thing?
I didn't.
Okay, well, we had a team meeting and Chip's got well water, all right? And they had, what was the thing, the mineral, what was the problem?
Magnesium. So we have these filters we put in and I'm from the Northeast, well waters, it's a Lexington. Apparently it's good for you though.
Yeah, Chip's a hillbilly now.
Periodically, we have to change these filters and they go in white. And where I live in Lexington, there's a lot of high magnesium. They come out dripping black. So in that well water, it's good, sweet, good for you. Tastes good, nothing like well water, but there's also that down in there. This goes back to that deep well. There's nasty magnesium that we have to filter out.
So we need to know what's in your well, and so we do things that make you struggle, and we will find what it is. It might be you're really, really fast, but we're gonna make you do it again. How good is your do it again, right? Or you're an aerobic rock star, right? But you're gonna get smoked because we're gonna make you go fast, right? Or you are really, really talented. You're a fitness freak, right? But we're gonna make you show up on time. Oh, you're not good at that. Or you don't like school, or you don't like treating people right, or let's find where to dig. And our schedule is so tight, and what we're asking you is so asked of, demanding, and it is tracked, and if it is important, it has to be tracked. We've talked about that before, but we got to get this information as soon as we possibly can, because what's blocking you from giving us your unique and wonderfully made? All right, next slide, please. So strive. Now that we know, and now that I have these digging rights, will you allow me to come alongside you and contend with this truth that you don't like? But it's true, right? That's why I never want to, I don't want to be a redneck about mental health, okay? I don't. But I don't understand, we can't just dismiss it as anxiety just because it really, really bothers you if it is true. You don't get excused from it unless you just want to be disabled forever. So yes, so and Chip's gonna finish this up with how you gotta do it when you pick these tools up. But contend with what is true with all your might. Let's get to digging. And then finally, all right, this last phase of this, which there aren't phases of it because they're all happening at the exact same time, we define competition as to strive alongside each other. Can you put with all your might next to with all of his might? And what's amazing is when those two things take place, with all your might just happens to be a little bit more because I put it next to him, all right? To a fault, all right? We got so competitive with 20-yard dashes, I pulled 3 guys' hamstrings in one day. That was dumb. I shouldn't have done that, right? And then I cost them, right? It's so, but the truth remains that if you align yourself next to me and we both agreed we're going all in on this to the point of our detriment, but that's a good thing because I think the most compelling thing on planet Earth is when somebody gives you all of themselves. And please, they've never been more vulnerable at that point when they do that. And if you shrug them off after that, that's about the most hateful thing you could do to someone. So how do we collectively, if every single person on our football team gave all of their uniquely and wonderfully made at the exact same time, without result, without pause, then we would be everything that we hung on the wall that we showed you, slide 3. There it would be, all right? Next slide, please.
Defining terms, we've even defined what our pick and shovel are. And they are patience and kindness. Those are the tools to do the hard work. And those 2 words, how many people have had love is patient, love is kind on their marriage, your invitations, whatever. It's got those have soft feelings. Love is patient and kind. Next slide. Well, love is also the capacity to withstand suffering, to tolerate suffering. There's nothing romantic about that. Well, in a marriage, again, there's suffering. Present company not excluded. I'm here. I can take it. That closeness. I'm here. I can take it. I'm here. Even when you're shitty, I can take it. I've got patience. Why? We have to come alongside because it moves us closer to the heart. Next slide. And kindness, other-centeredness, care and compassion for others. I am for you. I am here, I'm with you, and I'm for you. Selflessly, because that's love in action. And kindness is most impactful with those that are least lovable. And they will feel that when they try to push you away with chittiness. That's when you're most patient and kind in the face of that, again and again, 70 times 7. That's when it's most impactful. Next. We can skip that.
Go back, and we'll wrap it up right here. But one is not better than the other. Okay, if you're really, really good at being the juice guy, all right, you're not better than the conversation guy. And if you're the quiet guy, please stop rolling your eyes at all us broadcast guys, okay? All right, it hurts. It hurts our feelings, okay? We're tired of it. So, but this is how we interact. I'll kind of lay it out. Listen, do you believe that this is true? And if it is true, this is what we got to do. And then the last holdouts, he'll send Chip. This is that pick and shovel work in action via patience and kindness to draw out what this kid said he wanted to do. And you're charged with doing it. That's why this is the coolest job in the world. And what we do is the coolest thing, and it is an honor and it is a blessing. And if you don't ever be like, oh, man, don't get me wrong. Nobody enjoys May off more than me. Some of you guys probably say, hey, Coach, I'd love to get in the weight room, check things out. I wasn't there. I'm not coming. I'm not coming in. I'm sorry. I'm not. I get it. But please consider, finally, this last one.
Go next one.
We've talked about love languages, and then every time, I call it the Napoleon Dynamite effect. It's my own problem, okay? Napoleon Dynamite was the coolest movie ever till everybody thought it was the coolest movie ever, and then I decided to hate it, all right? I feel like the same thing's happening with love languages right now, okay? Because I saw a TikTok video, and they were talking about love languages, and I was like, I'm out. I'm out on love languages, all right? But what's amazing is there's our new percentages for the team. Quality time and words of affirmations followed by physical touch. They are all things that have to take place when you move towards something. They're all, every bit of this has to be you moving towards someone, okay? You can't let rack 19 just be rack 19. You got to go down there, all right? And if you lose your cool while you're doing it, you're not patient. It's the opposite. I'm losing my patience. Well, then you're not being patient. Look, man, I love you. You know I love you, but I'm tired. Then you're not patient. Okay? And it's like, listen, you know, guys, I lose my cool sometimes. Oh, you're not kind. I love you, though. Well, no, you don't, because love is patient and love is kind. I'm talking to myself. Okay? The most impatient and not very kind person, according to my wife. All right? So we've got work to do. We've got work to do at all times and every time and with everyone, with ourselves, because the amazing thing is, Chip, I have attained, all right, digging rights with Chip's heart and mind, which is a scary thing to do with your mentor, which J.C. Price said, don't trust a guy that says he has a mentor because that guy's weird, all right? I get it. Mentor makes me uncomfortable too, but a guy that's poured into my life, and now he's allowed me to come alongside him and help him with some things that maybe over 27 years of somebody saying something crazy to him and the world's highest level of this game hurt his heart. So I get to come alongside and do that. But it's amazing because while I'm doing that, I get a deeper look at me. I mean, this stuff, when you set this stuff off, it's like something from like Avengers. You're like, the stones are everywhere. It won't stop. It can't stop because love never ends, all right? Now, the last thing I did was I put together a rap. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine if I did that?
More.
That'd be insane.
That's the last one.
All right? Go ahead, Chip.
Well, Albert, smartest man, one of the smartest men in history said the first one, nothing happens until something moves. Pictures. Nothing happens until something moves. We've talked all day. Nothing happens. You don't get digging rights. You don't get until you move closer. And then the rest, Luke added. No one connects, we're talking about that, till you move closer. But they got to want to connect with you because I've got a rightful view of myself. So they will welcome me in, and I'll be patient and kind again and again and again and again. And we'll make mistakes. We'll miss the mark. We'll say harsh things, but we'll also hug and embrace and connect.
Any questions? No, seriously, we're done.
Hey, man. Thank you. Nice to meet you.